Hi guys, last one for the week. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I finally caught up. And next week I can start in fresh and be on a roll. I am feeling so much better about things than I did. And maybe next week I will have time to show you some of the things that I got inspired in my inspiration pictures from my cruise, and some of the new patterns that I have created. Meanwhile, here is the pattern called Findings by Sandra Strait. Findings being a word that's used in jewelry making, and so this is a very jewelry looking tangle. Might be too literal for some people, and they might not think that this is a tangle, which is fine. But it's a nice pattern, so if you want to learn it, that's great. You're going to make a sort of flower-like shape with some crescents, right? Go around. Doesn't matter how many you do. And then you're going to aura that, or echo those lines, okay? Within each of those spots, you are going to put a V that is also echoed. So 1 and 2, right? 1 and 2. 1 and 2. I would suggest making this kind of large to start, and when you practice, you can make them smaller, but I think this really lends itself to a nice big thing. The next step is you're going to make this arch that basically is connecting this to the V that you did on the other side. Just don't draw that little bit of the line, right? See what I mean? Here's the V. You come up, don't draw that, and draw this so that it's connecting like it would be connecting there. So it's in hollabah fashion, so it looks like you're drawing behind, and so that you actually have a shape underneath this one. And just do it all the way around. And then on top of that, you'll put a little circle with a dot. See, this is where the whole jewelry making thing ends up being awfully literal. It's fine, it's just kind of literal. And then some more circles, and then a bit here to make it look like a circle there. And then here we go. So here's the sample with a jewel here, some jewels here. It's clearly a necklace or a piece of jewelry. I think I'm going to not do all of this business. I might not even do these last little bits at the end, and I may make these different shapes. I can make the triangle, but then when I do something up here, maybe I'll make it more bigger or more around. As long as it connects here to here, it doesn't really matter what shape you do out there. So I may do something with that. But I'm intrigued with the whole gem thing. I have not practiced gems, so I thought maybe I would. I think I have time. Let me look at what time it is. Yes. Okay. Looks like I have time to play with some coloring and some gems. So I'm going to try that, which means I'm going to make the middle of this pretty good sized. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself a nice big circle in pencil so I know where I want my middle piece to go, and then I'll do my little cloud shape around that. So I'm just going to do lumpty bumpty bumpty bumpsies, and I'm not counting how many I'm doing. I'm not paying attention to exactly how big they are. There's some are going to be bigger and some are going to be smaller because I want it to be a little more organic and less jewelry like. Just for me personally. You do whatever you want to do. Alright, so then I want to aura that or echo it. Now some of you are really, really good at making all your lines the same width and making everything really precise. And that is not me. And since it's not me, I just embrace it and go for it. If I were to fuss over how and worry that I'm not being precise with this movement here, then that wouldn't give me that zen, that joy, and so I don't bother with it. I know it's part of who I am. This is just not me, and it's okay. So I'm going to make a nice deep triangle here, because I do like that where it's like holding onto the gem. So we're going to do that. So I'm thinking more of along the lines of a mandala than jewelry, and maybe that will help me. But I know this isn't even close to being, if I was worried about being precise, I would have measured or done like a mandala beginning where I put the stringers out from the middle, and so that I could have made it more precise. Doesn't bother me. Okay, that's fine. I know that one is that one's skinnier than that one. I know that this one's really wide. I know that. It's okay. It doesn't bother me. So now on the outside, I can either just make a nice thing that's the same, or I can come out, maybe be a little more expressive with this shape rather than just straight around. I think I like that shape that I just did, so that's what I'm going to do. It's a little bit more out and around than the shape that was shown on the sample. Okay. And if you can't figure out where that line should be, I mean, I'm not worrying about it a lot, but you could use your pencil and you could say, okay, it needs to go and finish that line through there. See, I put some, oops. Focus. Focus. It's not progressing. It doesn't know where to focus. Sorry, folks. There we go. See that pencil? I drew it right through there. And it's like, well, now I know where to connect this one. So I can make it and connect it right there. Like that. Then you can just go back, grab your eraser, and get rid of that, and nobody would be the wiser. Correct? No, they wouldn't, because it doesn't matter. This is your art. Do what you want. Enjoy yourself. But if you're not exactly in the right spot, don't worry about that either. Your eye will fill that in. Eyes are pretty interesting. They'll do those kinds of things. They'll see things that actually aren't there. If it implies that it's there, it will fill that in. So it doesn't have to be exact. Okay, I've got some bigger ones, I've got some smaller ones. It's all good. Now if I want to, I could create this little thing at the tops of each of these, but I don't feel led to do that. So I'm not going to. Just not going to. I do feel like I need to put that gemstone in here, and I need to be a little more careful with how I draw that line, and I don't want it to be too weird shape. I do want it sort of circular, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in a a pencil circle. And you'll notice that I didn't just do one circle. I did like a dozen circles in there. Somewhere in there is a circle. And then my eye will just sort of pick out, oh yeah, there's where I want it to go. I want it to go here. And then there is a line here. And here. And there. Like that. Something like that. Okay, zoom back out. Okay, so now I have this jewel-like piece that's holding on to the stone. I think I am going to fill in this part between. Am I going to fill that in black? No, I'm not. I don't feel like it needs to be black. I feel like it needs to have that's how I'm feeling it needs to be. You might not feel that. You might feel it needs something else. This is what I am feeling it needs. So at the end of the week, tomorrow starts a new week for us. Things are going fine. I do want to thank you all for all the well wishes while I was out. I appreciate, I felt all of your love and well wishes, and it helped me to get better faster, knowing you guys were thinking about me and that you were missing me. That one there, I appreciate that a lot, that you are missing me. So I need to make sure that those of you who sent me messages of, and are you doing okay, and that sort of thing, I need to get on. Yeah, doing better. Okay. That looks good. That's better. Now, gem. Where are my Prismacolors? Here's my Prismacolors. I am going to go with purples, I think. Blues and purples. Let me bring out my blues and my purples. I like Prismacolor colored pencils just because I do. When you do a gemstone, you actually want to leave, you have to decide where your light source is coming from. If my light source is coming from here, which is a logical place because that's where my lamp is, so it's a good place to put the light source. I'm going to turn this so that the light source is going the same way as my lamp. What I want to do is I want to actually make the lightest part and leave maybe some paper undone down here on this side, opposite the light source, which doesn't make what you would think would be sense for a jewel or for anything, is to leave the lightest farthest away, because normally you would shade it and you would shade the darkest further from the light source, but not with a gemstone, because what happens is the light actually goes through the stone and it bounces off this side. So the darkest part is actually almost right toward the light source. You see that? So this part's going to be dark. This part's going to be lightest. There's going to be a medium tone in here. There's going to be a little bit of highlight here. So that's what I got to work on. I got to try to get all these colors sort of blended, and then I'll go back in with a one of my white gel pens and do little highlights. So it's got little shiny sparkly spots. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow the leader here on this sample, because it's a pretty good sample. So I'm going to start with a medium, well actually I'm going to start with the lightest value that I have. It's going to be a blue. And I'm going to do all of it, all of this stone, except for right at one edge. It's not going to go right up against the edge, but I'm going to do the stone in the lightest color first. And I'm going to give myself a notation of which direction. Where's my pencil? My light source is going to be this way. So that way when I turn it, I'll know which way I wanted my darkest corner. Okay. And I'm going to just give the whole thing a super light. And I've never done gems before, so I might not be doing it absolutely right. But this is what I remember from watching other people do it. So, and I didn't go back and study them. I just decided as I sat here, and I was like, oh, well, that needs to be this way. So I'm going to start with the lightest, and I'm going to go with the next darkest color. And I'm going to put that in around the edge. Just light. Okay, something like that. Okay, and then my next darkest color is actually going to be one of the purples, I think. Oh, that's not purple. What color is this? Oh, that's kind of red. No, don't want that one. That one's too browny red. Not the color I want. Okay, so I want a little bit of purple in this highlighted area, and maybe right near the edge of this stone, right there. Just a teensy bit of purple. Okay. So far so good. And then this one. Probably should have sharpened these pencils. Oops. Wrong corner. Color. Secret with color pencils and getting an interesting depth of color is layers and being patient. Okay, and then what's that one? That's indigo. This one's violet. This one. Oh, violet blue. I'm gonna go with violet blue first, I think. So that first color, some of the first colors were the lighter, the blues. There was, it was blue, light cerulean blue, true blue. My purples were Parma violet and mulberry, and now this one is violet blue. Okay, and then I want violet. Then I want the darkest blue, the blue indigo, right up against the edge. All right, something like that. And then I'm going to take my colorless blender and I'm going to blend that together just a bit. Really make those layers all meld together. I just have to be careful not to get too much on the where I want the whites, because I do want that to stay light. I don't want it to get all muddy on me. But you won't create mud as long as you stay within colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. The only time you risk making mud is when you go opposite the color wheel. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. I like that kind of sapphire-y, dark blue color that I've created here. So then I want to put a highlight. I use my little pen. Oh, not the little pen. It's a white pen. I mean, it's a white thing, but it's not a white pen. I will use my daiquiris, my Sakura daiquiris. Get it started here on a. Oh, I had that one open already. Guess not. Get it started on a piece of scrap paper. And then I'm going to put the highlight in. And a little bit right in here. Like that. Okay, I think I did a pretty good job with that gem. I like it. Now the question is, do I want gem here or do I want to leave that like it is? And I think I want to leave it. What I want to do with it is I feel like it's not finished, but it needs something. But I don't want a gem in there like the sample. The sample has it gem all the way in there in those spots, but I'm not feeling it. Maybe it's just because I have a lot of them. That's entirely possible. To be careful not to smudge the white. The white will take a while to dry. I need to be careful with that, but I feel like I want to draw some more something in there. So I'm thinking something that comes up and around. It's kind of big, like it's a big piece of thicker metal. Yeah, I like that. Almost like that's some sort of metal piece coming out. I might even get its own drop shadow when I get to the shading part. Yep, that works. Okay. That's pretty. I like that. Okay, now it just needs a little shading. Need to sharpen my pencil. I'm going to do some shading on each one of these right where it overlaps. It's getting dark. I need to finish here soon. It's getting to where it's that time of day where I can't really see what I'm doing. Sun's going down, but at least it goes down a little bit later than it used to. But for a while there, it was getting dark in this room, like at 3 o'clock. I was having to stop working. I didn't like that. I wanted to move on further. Okay, so I'm going to use my tiny stump and do my blending. Okay, now the outside ones. And then I need to look up into the camera in a second. Right now I have to look at my page, but I'm going to have to look up in the camera and see what else it needs, because it will tell me if it needs something else. If it's feeling not quite right, it will let me know. Okay. It is telling me it wants something. It wants shadow around here. So if the sun is coming, light source is coming here, then I'll get a little bit of shadow on this side and on this side of this one. Same as this one, this side and this side. And then they're going to go this way. Actually, I'm not going to get much on the inside of there. Now that I think about it. Get rid of that. We won't get much there. Okay, so then I'll get a little bit here. All right. And I'll get a little bit on this side. And then I'll get more here. And more on this side and a little bit this way. Same thing here. I'll get some there and here and a little bit there. And then when it comes down to this one, I'll get a lot of shading here. And some on this side here. And a lot right down here. Some here. And here. Okay. All right. Now I can blend. Okay. Oh, it's looking good. Looking good. So this one's going to cast a drop shadow up here. This one's going to cast a drop shadow this way. This one's going to cast the drop shadow this way. And this one will cast it over here. This one will cast it on this side. This one will cast the shadow on that side. This one will cast it way down like that. Something like that. Just gentle. It almost was too much with the pencil. Matter of fact, I may have to go back and erase some of that. Let's smudge it first and see what happens. I may have to get rid of some of that because I want it super subtle. No, that's all right. Okay, that'll do. Okay, I think I'm done. I think I'm done with today's, what was that, findings? It's living in my world this way. This is F-I-N-E-D-I-N-G. Findings. A jewelry-based tangle. Very pretty. Probably not one I would use often, but it's still was inspiring, and it helped me to play with a little gem, and I think I did a pretty good job there. So I like it. Alrighty, so this is the end of the week. Hope you've done something good for somebody at some point during the last week, because that's, you know, what I set you out to do at the end of the day. Do something nice for somebody else. Make the world a better place. I will see you next week. Bye.